Hello, everyone, and welcome into CrushTheStreet.com. I'm Kenneth Amaduri, and I got a really special guest on the line with me today, a first-time guest. The president and CEO of Harvest Gold, Rick Mark, is on the line with me today. And this is a really special junior play. And the reason is I believe, and I think we're going to come to find out that despite higher or lower gold prices, this is a sheer value play. And it's, trading near a 5-cent share price. And, talking about the company today, I think we're going to really present the case why this is, a real opportunity. So without any further ado, let's get Rick here on the line. Rick, thanks for coming on Crush the Street with me.
Kenneth, thanks for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
Well, like I said, thanks for coming on. Let's start off with the gold price. After multiple glimmers of optimism in 2016, where the turnaround seemed promising, and even earlier this year when the gold price went over $1,350, and now, we're back below 1,200, bouncing around 1,200 once again, it's been rough for investors in this sector. And I'd like to just kind of start there. What are your thoughts on gold? And, what do you make of this?
Well, I agree. It's behaving badly, and it isn't connected to the traditional kinds of factors that seem to drive the price. And I must say, as someone running a junior company, it has been a challenge to get attention to raise money. Fortunately, there are still believers out there, and Harvest Gold has now raised enough money to begin our drilling program in Mexico. And so we're morphing from worrying about the gold price into talking to people about the value of discovery. And I guess one of the things that really struck me recently is one of the large companies in the world, Newmont, did a very early joint venture deal with a company we're involved with. And that property hasn't been drilled yet, Kenneth. And that tells me, most importantly, I think, to investors that the gold companies, the senior gold companies, need gold. And so explorers are going to become back in the vogue. Even though the gold price is lagging, the supply of gold is going to drive the big guys to start looking again at the smaller explorers. And that means the timing for Harvest Gold is perfect.
Well, and that might actually lend itself to the next question that I have for you here. And, what in your opinion does gold need to resume in a confirmed bull market trajectory? I think a lot of people are worried that, we can see new lows go below the low that we saw in December of 2015.
Well, traditionally it takes some kind of disaster, and that's always been the conundrum for gold bugs, is that on the one hand, you're waiting for gold to move. On the other hand, you're really looking for some major weaknesses. Clearly, the U.S. dollar, at least in my mind, is the driver, and it's the only common market that seems to be working. Europe is struggling. China is still trying to figure its way, even though both are significant markets in the world. It leaves the U.S. as that common market, and as long as that U.S. dollar is so strong, it seems like gold is struggling. So again, we'll focus more on discovery with the Harvest Gold story this fall, and let the gold price take care of itself.
Yeah, that's a powerful thing. Well, I'd like to talk to you about, why it's plausible. After the research I've done and, having the privilege to speak with you, why Harvest Gold, might be one of the best 5-cent gold junior stocks to own in 2018.
Well, we took a long time to find a property and an opportunity we believed in. There's a company called Evrim Resources, symbol EVM, which is a project generator supported by some of the biggest players in the market. I mentioned recently they were fortunate enough to get a joint venture with Newmont on one of their properties. Vale, Corp, Newmont are all partners of Evrim, and little old Harvest Gold is the only junior. So we partnered on a project called Cerro Cascaron in the Sierra Madre Belt in Mexico, which has excellent high-grade gold and silver results from channel sampling, rock sampling, and also geochemistry, Kenneth. So it's a drill-ready project. when we talk about sort of checking the boxes on the list of things that you have to be successful in discovery drilling, we check every single box. And so we're prepared now. We expect to begin our drilling program for the first time. This is the first time this project has ever been drilled. It's in a mine-laden belt in Mexico, and it has never been drilled, which we're thrilled about. And that's going to happen in late September, early October. So all of the elements of drill success are sitting in front of us, and we have what we think is the best partner we could have in Mexico, who are presently operating successfully on several projects, all of them partnered with much bigger companies than Harvest. So we're in the right place, and we're certainly in the right company.
So there is definitely a history of success stories with yourself as well as members of your team. And I'd love to be able to spotlight this for the audience, the track record of the management team running Harvest Gold.
Well, thanks for mentioning that. 10 years ago, we had some tremendous success and excitement for our shareholders. VMS Ventures was a company I ran that made a high-grade copper discovery in Manitoba. I tell people the value of discovery investing, as we call it, simply based on that story. Our first small financing was done out of Toronto at 6 cents in January of 2007, and the stock peaked at $1.70 in November of 2007, and we managed to raise $20 million with Griffiths McBurney Partners in Toronto at $1.50 that year. That all happened just before the financial crisis. Ultimately, we were able to joint venture that discovery. It became a deposit, and it is now a mine called the Reed Mine in Manitoba. So the team has been through it. We understand what that means for shareholders. We understand the responsibilities of communication and the power of drilling. We later on, about 2011, Daniel, I was running a company called North American Nickel, and North American Nickel continues to have this project in Greenland. It was almost a magical tour. We had a nickel opportunity up there. We were early to the party in Greenland. We had another situation where we had financed the company at 6 cents with some significant players we had met in the VMS days, and that stock made it as high as 68 cents, and in particular on a couple of high-grade drill holes. And so drilling results drives the early success of companies. And that's the time when investors take a look and say, are all the pieces in place? Does this have a shot? And does this company have an audience that will respond to successful drilling? I think Harvest Gold, and certainly with opportunities to talk to your audience, but we bring an audience that's wide enough to influence these small cap stocks, and we're micro caps by the traditional definitions. Success drives these things, Kenneth. It's so exciting to watch when the market takes over. I think VMS traded 18 million shares in the first hour of trading after we finally released our drill results. So I know that the world will come to us with drill results, and what you're giving your audience is an opportunity to play before we drill, and that's really how you make the big win. If we're fortunate enough to have drill success, we're all going to be very happy shareholders of Harvest Gold.
That is a very exciting opportunity here, and it's the reason why I like to be in this space. So you're already alluding to it. I'd love for you to follow up with this question, and is the success of the company dependent on a higher gold price?
Well, in my view, not at all in the early days. Now, I do want to say this. Evrim Resources, our joint venture partner, we can earn up to 80% of this project, which is something I negotiated because that becomes attractive to the gold mining companies, the so-called majors. They are all over this belt in Mexico. We know that the largest producer in Mexico has already been on this property with Alain Charret, the man who discovered the property for Evrim Resources. He's a mine finder of serious reputation. It's one of the great things about this story is that Alain is the one who really believes in this company and this property. But what we need to know is that there are people out there ready to take this on. We're not going to become miners. Kenneth, I can tell the shareholders today, our intention is to build value in this property, to show the miners that there are deposits on this property, and then do the very best we can at finding someone who wants to take it over and add it to their gold portfolio. So we really look to discovery drilling to get attention, to get the stock higher, give us a chance to continue to drill for enlarging deposits and find more deposits. And then at some point, and for all of our shareholders, they're looking earlier than later, but at some point in the near future, if we're fortunate enough here to get successful early, Kenneth, then we have a chance to start talking to people. And just think what I said, 4 of the majors in the gold world are already affiliated with our JV partner, Evrim Resources. We are not far. That's 1 degree of separation, not 6 degrees of separation. So we know we're going to have the eyes of the mining world on this project as well. It's very exciting. It's been a tough go getting dough in this very difficult gold market you've described. But the investors who are with us are longtime believers. They've provided us with the support to get the drill going, and of course we're just excited as heck to get that happening.
Rick, maybe you could just touch on the value of the stock right now, the market cap, and just kind of paint the picture for, how cheap, how inexpensive the company is right now for people who might be considering to purchase the stock on the open market.
Yeah, we've traded in the 5 to 7 cent range for the last 3 or 4 months. Pretty good volume. I'm pleased with the fact that our audience is growing and that people, I think they know our history. I think they know we've had success in the past. And this is just such a compelling story in terms of the opportunity in Mexico for gold and silver, frankly. And so we've seen good pushes up to 7.5 cents. And now it's a situation where we think that the shareholders, for the most part, are in a position now to hold it. Why would they sell it now ahead of drilling? And so what that does is allows the opportunity for the stock to move because the resistance is less up above that 7.5 cent price. We are funded at this point. We're not contemplating a new financing. We're looking at exercising some warrants that our existing shareholders have. But we are not looking at issuing new stock, which I think is good news for those people who are visiting Harvest. At 7 cents, our market cap is less than $6 million. I think we're in a situation where we can honestly say the assets we're chasing are in the $250 to $500 million value. That's the kind of early deposit shaping we think we can create. And so the leverage is obvious. I mentioned to you the 2 companies that I ran earlier and the kind of returns that we were able to get. And so market cap almost disappears when high-grade discovery happens. And we're looking forward to that opportunity, that chance to do it again. It really is fun for everybody. It's a long, hard sort of walk to get there. But once you get there and you get those drills turning, Kenneth, it's really the kind of the adrenaline of this part of the investment world.
That it really is exciting. Rick, what are the biggest reasons, and by way of conclusion here, let's wrap this up in kind of a concluding sort of, trend discussion. What are the biggest reasons, in your opinion, you could see gold moving higher here in the midterm? And, how strategic is it in terms of leveraged exposure to, a junior company that is poised for exposure to this upside? I mean, leveraged exposure, really.
Well, as I said earlier, I think, the low gold price is depressing exploration. It's difficult to raise money. It's difficult to explore, and that means there's not much gold being discovered, Kenneth. That is what's driving the demand from the senior companies. They need to expand their portfolios. They gave up themselves on exploration a long time ago. So I look at it kind of in the reverse way. I say that lower gold price is driving demand for the commodity itself, and the big guys have to find access to opportunity, and that only comes from the little guys. And so a company like us suddenly matters to the bigger companies. They will know that we're drilling in Mexico. So again, I've said from the beginning, Kenneth, I'm not as focused on the gold price itself. I look for ways to see an advantage for our shareholders. I think that lower gold price, if it stays here, will continue to be an advantage for our shareholders, because with discovery, we are going to be in the eyes of the big guys who are looking for more gold. They can't do it themselves. They have to rely on us, and there just aren't as many companies drilling because of the difficulty in raising money with $1,200 gold. So this is a heck of an opportunity for those that believe in discovery investment and see opportunities in the gold space. I would say, again, that $1,200 gold price is an advantage today for those that are looking at the pre-discovery juniors who have an audience and relationships with the bigger companies that really need that gold for their portfolio.
Well, what a timely discussion here, and what a great reminder about, when to be investing in the sector here, because there's going to be a time when the sector completely turns around, and everyone and the Uber drivers and taxi drivers are going to be purchasing junior mining stocks. But here we are talking about it before this happens, and I think it's a very strategic time. So if people want to learn more about the company, I highly encourage everyone to go read our full report on it at crushthestreet.com/harvest. But by way of conclusion here, Rick, please just share some closing thoughts. And if people want to either reach out to the company, reach out to you, what's the best way to go about doing that?
The symbol, first of all, trading on the Toronto Stock Exchange Venture Exchange, is HVG, Harvest Victor Gold. The website, harvestgoldcorp.com. You can see our corporate presentation, which will give you some details on the Cerro Cascaron property. And for those of you who are more technically focused, I would suggest you can look through the past news releases to get details on our work on the project ahead of drilling. And there is a technical appendix also on the front page of the website. In terms of where we are and how we're going to move forward here, I think the opportunity now to meet with you, Kenneth, and open the opportunity to your audiences, the opportunity to expand into Evrim's audience as Evrim starts to talk about Harvest Gold and Cerro Cascaron. What we're going to be doing at just the right time is expanding our audience dramatically, and that's another obligation of the public company. As I said, I've been here before. I know what happens when success comes, but I also know that we're obligated to build audiences as public companies. So I'm thrilled with the opportunity to talk with you guys, and looking forward to working with Evrim now as they begin to tell our story to their audience. Their symbol, by the way, is EVM, Evrim Victor Mother. And they have an interesting chart as well. And as I said before, their credibility is extremely high. And I will say this, Kenneth, they are the operator on the project, and that is fantastic for us. They know what to do in Mexico. We've worked hard with them to get drill targets ready. They can execute with the best of them. So Harvest shareholders are in very good hands with Evrim as our partner.
Well, you've heard it here first, everyone. Rick, thank you so much for coming on Crush the Street. We greatly appreciate this timely discussion. We hope to have you back on in the very near future.
Thanks, Kenneth. Really enjoyed it.